Right now, the White House is weighing what to do about college loans as the current pause on most federal student loan payments is set to expire at the end of this month. Well, CNN's new reporting overnight is that officials are leaning toward canceling up to $10,000 in debt for.
Oh man, that's so sick. Oh, $10,000. How nice. How nice, guys. Look at that. Hey, just for the record, like if they can cancel $10,000, they can cancel all of it. Just want to point that out. Like the power that Joe Biden has over debt cancellation is endless. Technically, he could literally cancel not only 10,000 but all of it for everyone. But you know, they're just weighing out the options for 10K proposed cancellation for 125K income cap.
Borrowers who make less than $125,000 a year. This decision could come as soon as tomorrow, we're hearing. So let's talk about it, the implications, what this would mean. With Mark Goldwine, he is a senior vice president and senior policy director for the nonpartisan committee for a responsible federal budget, also an econ professor at Johns Hopkins. It's good to have you, Mark. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
So I read through all your analysis, and basically it shows that canceling this student loan debt for folks would undermine the inflationary work that the Inflation Reduction Act is set to do and what the administration wants it to do. Why? Why do they cancel each other out?
Well, so the Inflation Reduction Act saves maybe $300 billion in the first 10 years. If we do cancel $10,000 of debt and just extend the pause a few months, we're going to be at about that much in terms of new costs. So all the deficit reduction is going to be wiped out. At the same time, we're probably going to do more to increase inflation from debt cancellation than any inflation reduction from the Inflation Reduction Act.
Okay, so I want to get to the second point you made, and then
she asked, how would that cause inflation? He didn't even say it. At least with like $10,000 in debt cancellation, though, many of you will be able to, you know, purchase a sub and avoid the top of the hour ad break. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. I know Tater Tot had a final message. It's 1 fucking hour long, dude. And if you no longer want to see those ads, well, then all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted subs if you're lucky. Okay? Lucid Shadow with the 5 tier 1 gifted subs probably got that 10K debt cancellation, so he's fucking peppering the community with gifts. Here's the 1 minute ad break now, by the way. Let's continue.
that is, you know, what is inflationary and what is disinflationary. So there are a bunch of economists. I'd say Mark Zandi at Moody's, also former Labor Department economist Heidi Shierholz, who say they think you're wrong, right? And let me talk about Shierholz, for example, who worked in the Obama administration. She says your analysis is, quote, profoundly off base. And the reason she says that is she points to the 2+ year moratorium we've already had on student debt payment. And she says basically folks have had this money in their pockets for 2+ years. And so canceling the student loan debt would not effectively put more money in their pocket right now. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so what these folks are doing is they're playing a baseline trick. They're pretending that we're going to extend this repayment pause forever. And it's true. Compared to extending the temporary emergency era repayment pause forever, just canceling debt and restarting payments would be disinflationary. But that's not the right comparison. The right comparison is compared to repayments starting in about a week as...
Remember, CNN, they were like, we're the most trusted name in news, which is why we need to make sure they weren't, but like they were like, what CNN is lacking is more right-wing reactionary content. Okay? Like, if you are the senior VP and policy director for the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, you should be nowhere near the media in general. These are the kind of fucking crooks that you normally would have on like weird like Fox Business news shows. But because America is inherently reactionary when it comes to, especially when it comes to economics, they have guys who have made it their lives mission to be like, I'm a budget hawk. I'm a deficit hawk, which is not a real concept, as we all know. Okay, it is antithetical to how the government works. It just does not exist. not a real thing. That's why everybody loves pumping. Nobody gives a shit about spending when it comes to the military. Okay, it's just about who gets to. It's about who gets to get money. Okay. What is this? You just caught a stray from the bot, dude. Some of you are fucking brain broken. Okay. Like literally, I'm in the middle of like talking about fucking student loan debt, and he's like, "Bro, you just caught a stray from the political discourse bot." Yeah, okay, I did. Okay, here you go. This guy's retweeting the RNC research account, Lemma Fayal. Yeah, but he likes the Inflation Reduction Act. So there you go. If we cancel 10K of student debt, loan balance will be back to 1.6 trillion in just 4 years. Force college endowments collectively to take the first loss on student loans and then make them dischargeable in bankruptcy. Will clean the problem right up. Okay, first of all, he's doing the classic fucking thing of being like, well, you know, college campuses are making a killing off of this, right? And it's like, okay, that's true, but you're using one other problem that you know is unsolvable to get ahead of like one solution to the other underlying problem. Like, you can't do that. Streamline income-driven repayment, including differentiating people from length of degree, grad, undergrad. Put pressure on colleges to accept more AP credits, community college transfers, etc. God, his fucking solutions to the college, to how expensive college is so stupid. Smart higher ed reform. Forgive loans from students harmed by predatory colleges in past. Oh, really? Wow. How nice of this guy. Tighten institutional eligibility for student loan programs. Make institutions share cost of future loan defaults. Cap grad plus loans. Use savings from 2 to 4. Use savings from 2 to 4 to increase Pell Grants. Streamline income-driven repayment, including differentiating people by length of degree. I just hate it because, like, the other side of the argument, he can make the correct argument about how shitty colleges are. Because colleges are, especially as you think of them as, like, for-profit, you know, capitalist corporations, they are shitty. That's true. They are. Okay? College costs are insane. Except if you think that the only pressure, the only inflationary act, and if you're a right-wing Committee for Responsible Federal Budget guy, you're definitely going to think this, is because people have more power to purchase shit, and it's and nothing on the supply side is culpable for or responsible for the inflation. Okay, even though there was a global fucking pandemic that disrupted supply chains across the globe, which then ended up with everyone realizing that they could just like artificially keep supply low rather than boost it and still have fatter profit margins. Instead of tackling that side, even though that is precisely how the fucking oil and gas prices were lowered, like the one incredibly successful method that Joe Brandon did was, you know, suck MBS's cock to make sure that you know, there was more supply of crude oil, and oil and gas prices started fucking lowering. Okay, and that's a monopoly, so that's a cartel, so there's nothing really you can do in this in the, you know, in the short term. Okay, but you can't do that for everything else. You can't apply any pressure to corporations. You can't apply any pressure to producers. No. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because to these guys, the only reason why prices are the way that they are and inflation happens in the way that it does is because people have more money to purchase stuff. That's it. And if that's your attitude, if that's your approach, then of course you're going to say this about canceling student loan debt, because cancellation of student loan debt, even if it's $10,000, okay, even if it's a cancellation of student loan debt to the tune of $10,000, that means there's $10,000 in people's pockets. There's potential $10,000 in people's pockets. Therefore, they have more purchasing power. Therefore, this will completely override the deflationary legislative agenda of the IRA.
Scheduled. This was always meant to be a temporary pause. If it's a permanent pause, it's not student debt, it's student grants.
I think what complicates this picture, right, for the average viewer watching right now, is that they're dealing with inflation near a 40-year high. They're dealing with much more expensive groceries. Gas has come down a bit, but it's still more than what they're used to. More expensive housing, transportation, clothing, I could go on and on. So I just wonder if you're concerned at the possibility that restarting these payments, right, in a few days, worsens that burden on Americans struggling with this inflation in this moment. That's the reality, right?
Bloomberg already going hard. Wall Street Journal already going hard. Student loan relief seen costing billions and favoring top earners. This, by the way, is the classic, like, fuck this. They are trying to, this is the classic fucking way to divide and conquer, to make it seem like student loan debt relief is like a gift that the Democratic Party is giving to its own constituents, college educated, high income earners, even though they're not. That's so fucking stupid. Yeah, dude, it's great. Penn Wharton estimate models cost of various loan forgiveness. Biden could announce debt relief plans as soon as this week. They're trying to do everything they can to make it seem like you in this chat, barely making ends meet, are the top earners of society, and that you should not be getting this fucking gift. Republicans will cater this. Republicans will turn around and also say this is a gift wrap to the Democrats because, you know, college educated or Democratic, or they lean towards the Democratic Party. And this also completely avoids the main point of conversation, which is that, like, college not only shouldn't be so fucking costly, but it should be free. Or at least there should be free alternatives to college. There should be free colleges, especially state schools.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to do. And it's not as if this is going to lift inflation from 8% to 9%. What this is going to do is make it more difficult for us to get inflation down to 2 or 3%, which is where it really should be. It's going to make the Fed's job harder, and that means it's going to increase the risk they're going to have to drive us in.
Bro, I swear to God, these motherfuckers, like, I mean, think about the 2008 recovery, right? There were two options there. One, you could have given the money, the actual money, back to the individuals who could then pay off their debt that they had accrued through predatory lenders, especially like single homeowners that have taken out mortgages, right? That no longer had the capacity to pay for it, and the house that they were inside of was no longer even worth it, right? Or they could give it to the corporations, the big banks, the people that did the predatory lending to begin with, the people that actually made money off the predatory lending. They chose to bail out the banks because they thought, and by they I mean like all of these same dildos with econ degrees, okay, from the Murder and Melt the Poor Foundation, turned around and fucking said, it is a moral hazard. This is the econ term for it, okay? Moral hazard. You're going to get the poor too comfortable with the idea that they can get money and get bailed out. Now, no such moral hazard exists for the wealthy who actually built in the government bailout into their risk-taking. Concept known as too big to fail. Okay? And that attitude is still continuing in this situation. That's why nobody fucking pairs up the PPP loans that were forgiven, okay, by the American government, where the average loan price was like what? The average loan taken out was like 90 grand or some shit. when they're talking about like inflation or anything like that, because all the Republican dickheads also took out those loans. But then they turn around and use that exact same argument that you could launch towards them as a moral hazard or as or rather as a inflationary move, because this would disrupt some top earners within the Democratic Party as well, some key industries. It's SoFi, a student loan refinancing company, could give its CEO, if SoFi, a student loan refinancing company, could give its CEO a 92% raise last year, paying him a grand total of $103 million in compensation, and spend $625 million to put its name on the LA Rams football stadium, you know what President Biden can do? Cancel all student debt. There was another one earlier. Where the fuck was it? Where's the other tweet that I retweeted earlier? Fuck. Bernard. Oh, here it is. The average amount of debt forgiveness to businesses receiving PPP loans was $95,700. That was the average amount of debt forgiveness for businesses receiving PPP loans during COVID. But hey, remember, that went to businesses, not to individuals. It certainly went to individuals as well, individual business owners, okay? But guess what? That's okay. That's not a moral hazard. These guys are small business owners. They're voters. They're important. If we could afford to cancel hundreds of billions in PPP loans to business owners in their time of need, please do not tell me we can't afford to cancel all student debt for 45 million Americans. My company took the loans and laid off workers anyways and used the money to pay themselves. Oh yeah, that too. Which is fraud, by the way. Pandemic. The average PPP loan forgiven was $95,700. Warren is also the majority staff director for Bernie Sanders. Good dude. Free tuition at University of California until the 1970s. 2008, Fed loans trillions to Wall Street banks at 0.5% interest. Wall Street banks buy treasury bonds yielding 3 to 3.5% interest. 2017, 1%, and corporations get over $1 trillion in tax cuts. And remember, the concept of having to take out fat fucking loans. The concept, Hasan tax evasion accountant. Student loan forgiveness will allow people to have a few extra $100 a month that will be in turn spent feeding the economy, along with the fact that the idea of needing to take a loan to get a job to make more money, thereby being taxed more, and then having to pay student loans back with interest is in fact double taxation, which is for some reason not acknowledged by conservative dumbasses who bitch about taxes, because conservative dumbasses don't go to college. So it's not an issue for them. I mean, that's just true. Like the more educated you are, the higher your degree is, the more likely you are that you're a fucking Democrat. That's why there's like a narrative that if you have a PhD, you're like a pussy soy lib and not a part of the fucking working class, as though like researchers and people that work in like an educational capacity are not at the heart of the working class or profoundly important for society to prosper. You know, doesn't matter. So, and also they get fucked over regularly. PhDs do. It's just like inherently reactionary to fucking take on that attitude towards people that are pursuing further education. Apparently, the top 60% of earners, this will help the most, includes 60% of all debt holders. Penn Wharton is not my favorite model, but this suggests that all the noise about student debt relief will be a giveaway to the wealthy is indeed noise. The top 60% is a pretty deep in the middle class, and just under half of that, just under half is going to the bottom 40%. If you'd rather spend 300 to 980 billion on childcare, great, find the votes. But according to this analysis, student debt relief broadly benefits working families. Another way to phrase this would be majority of relief going towards borrowers in the bottom 60% of earners. Yeah. Because they capped it at 125,000 too, like because there's an income cap too, like the idea that this is like really benefiting the rich is so stupid. Paying for giving shit they just keep dangling in front of us. Hopefully we're going to vote for their shit lives harder. Why don't people just go to universities they can't afford? That's really that's a funny take from the man 219. I guess you're, I don't know, are you signing off from any other country? Is that why? This must be a question coming to us from a chatter from, like, I don't know, the UK, where you still need to pay, but much, much less. You're in South Carolina. What the fuck is wrong with you then, dumbass? What universities people can just afford? I got no loans, just good grades. My friend, the idea that, like, oh my God. Okay, where do I start? The idea that, like, every single person, if every single person got A's just like you did and were able to get into get like some kind of scholarship, which, by the way, I'm not even going to ask about your rich parents. That's a fun little way to also say, I got no loans, just good grades. You know, and that means you probably had some rich parents. Because there is 0%, there's 0% chance that you got an academic scholarship or a fucking full ride to whatever college you went to. Because there are not that many people with that good grades. Okay, so that's number one. And now you're saying, why don't they go to community college? Okay, well, people still go to community college. It still costs money. And also, the job advantages of an associate's degree is not the same. And ultimately, we are literally failing to comprehend the main thing. Going to college is better for a workforce. If you want to fucking defeat the Chinese, okay, or if you want to defeat all these other countries that are coming, that are gunning for American hegemonic power, then maybe we should educate our fucking workforce. It literally creates a more productive and more educated workforce as a good thing, okay? Only in America, though, is there a real fucking issue. Most of the jobs that you look for require a 4-year degree. Oh, just go to community college. Okay, great. You spent more money, and now you only have an associate's degree. Now you have to actually still go to college and get a bachelor. So what are you going to do? Well, you have to pay for it. For a resident, it's $26,000, dude. For a fucking resident. It's still $26,000. Guys, that's public school. Public school in the United States is $26,000 a year. Can you imagine? Times 4. And that's before you, I mean, this is not the entirety. It's just tuition, housing, meals, books, and supplies. It's a rather conservative estimate. That's for residents. For non-residents, it's $46,000 a year. Public school, by the way. So when dumb motherfuckers in the chat say, oh, dude, just get good grades, remember, one, if it's a merit-based scholarship that you got, okay, then that defeats the purpose. If everybody gets good grades, you fucking idiot, that would mean that you're not going to be able to get in for free. And what you should have just said is, I have rich parents, so I don't give a shit about this. And also I'm selfish, so I don't give a shit about it. But also I'm stupid, so I don't give a shit about it. I'm stupid because I think like people should have to pay for higher education, when other countries can get away with literally paying you in some instances to go to college. Oh my God. Also, on what planet is books and supplies $12,000? I don't know. Or I mean, at $1,200, I don't know. Two years free at community and 2 at state university for my bachelor's, and I still have $60K debt. This chatter is insane. Yeah. Anyway. Under this veneer of hard work equals success, there's this belief that somebody's got to be poor, not me, though, lol. Yeah. It's just unimaginably fucking stupid to like actively advocate for policies that make your labor force less productive and make your labor force dumber. But here in the United States of America, we do that on a daily basis. And we have some of the most college-loving article heads come on some of the other college-loving article head news broadcasts and talk about how actually this is a really bad idea. I hate it. Like, I don't know what to say about it other than it's just so stupid. It is so counterproductive. It's so fucking dumb. I haven't really talked about this in a while because, like, I don't know. I mean, we got, like, healthcare that's always, like, way more, there's a way more awful and way easier way to understand, like, inequality. Because college creates an other underlying, Laura Loomer is leading her race for Congress. Great for her.
Into a recession to get inflation under control.
But it's also going to mean another bill, significant monthly bill for some folks on top of their higher bills because of inflation right now, right? And you're saying that's a burden the American people have to bear given the other more negative.
Why don't people get a summer job to help pay their student loans? It's not that hard to work during summer when you have a summer semesters off and work for $7.25 an hour to pay a loan that will accrue the equivalent of that time worked in the interest in about a month. Yeah. I don't understand. Why can't you pay for your college and get a house like I did in 1956 for $11 when college education was $10 and that was like basically 2 hours of wage at the soda factory. Okay? And then I'd have a lot of money left over so I could buy a house and a car. So weird, man. I was a soda jerk. Corn Pop would come in. Back when things were good. Be able to buy a hamburger, too.
Negative effects in your analysis?
Yeah, that's sort of the...
What? Those estimations are way over top. Yes, college is expensive, but picking a lucrative major should pay way back more than the debt. Yeah, dude. That's so cool that you said that in your hypothetical. But we live in the fucking real world where that doesn't happen. So that's pretty fun, though. But hey, guess what? A lot of you fucking weirdo STEM lords have also created a system where, like, STEMs are getting cucked, too. So that's fun. You know, you motherfuckers learned to code it your way into tech serfdom. So that's cool. That's fun. Get fucked, by the way. You fucking ruined it for yourselves. It's so funny because, like, look, I got STEM lords in the fam. My brother builds satellites, okay? If he didn't have an older brother, he wouldn't even be able to fucking dream of owning a house ever. He went to a good college, got a good education. He works in one of the best fucking places he could work at in the field. He literally builds satellites. Okay? He has such little savings after years and years and years of working at Boeing, building fucking spaceships. Okay? And that is on top of me paying off his student loan debt too. I paid off his student loans already. And even then, he doesn't have any fucking savings by the end of it. Because rent, cost of living. Dude, you're talking to 17-year-old high school kids who are believing the lie that all they need is a STEM degree to make it in life? Yeah, they just don't fucking understand. They literally do not understand that, like, there are the high-paying jobs. You know who the high-paying jobs are going to? Motherfuckers that went to Harvard. Not because they worked really hard. It's because their dad also went to Harvard. Dumbass chatters, I'm literally in finance, and unless they start paying me $200K a year, then yeah, my student loans from grad school will be paid off fast. I've been an accountant for like 8 years. Like, who are these chatters who've never worked or lived in their own life? I mean, look, finance is the one field where you will make money because it's people who are making money for others, okay? Finance is, if you work 80 hours a week, if you're fine working 80 hours a week, 80 plus hours a week, for like the first 5, 6 to 10 years of your career, you will make a lot of money. You will be able to pay off your student loans. You'll be able to do all that. 80 hours a week, Heck W, yes. Especially if you work in investment banking, that what I'm saying is not crazy. Bro, I had dudes working in some of the top banks. I mean, look, I went to Rutgers. I have a lot of finance bro friends. One of my finance bro friends, Chris, is going to be here soon, staying with me for a week. And these motherfuckers were working 80 hours a week in the first 4 to 5, 6 years of their fucking jobs. That's how it is. I would go to New York and these dudes would show up at 2:30 to the strip club wearing their fucking full suit. I'm like, why are you in a suit right now? It's like, well, I just came from work. I just came to say what up. I'm going to go back home, get like 4 hours of sleep, go back to work at 6.
Catch-22 of this all. We could send everybody another round of checks to pay for their inflation costs, but that would actually make inflation worse. What we need to do now is get inflation under control. One of the easiest ways to do that is to ask people to start paying back the debt they already owe, to start making the principal payments that they already agreed.
Those are the only motherfuckers that were able to pay off their student loans is what I'm saying. And even then, their lives were shit. Dog, you're so right. I'm a tax accountant at a big firm and work 75 plus hours. This shit is ass. But the new Ray-Bans I've always wanted to look awesome.
Too. And by the way, while not everybody that has student debt is rich, disproportionately, student debt is being held by people that have advanced degrees and pretty good income, and they can bear it a lot more, than everyday Americans that are seeing the cost of
bear it a lot
gasoline
more.
and
What the
clothing go up.
fuck?
Your analysis points to wealthier households with medical degrees or JDs, their attorneys. I think the cap at $125,000 a year would cut some of those folks out. Not all, but it would cut some of those folks out. But one other thing that I thought was just interesting from what you guys looked at here is that you found that student loan cancellation would not significantly decrease the racial wealth gap. I'm wondering if you could speak to whether you think there is a more targeted approach than what we're hearing is likely to come from the White House that would be more effective.
They're absolutely. The issue is debt cancellation might reduce the wage.
What do you mean more targeted? This is already targeted. What more targeted can it be?
Racial wealth gap between two rich doctors,
Bro, that's so funny. Oh my God, he's using liberal terminology. Basing any life decisions on what's considered lucrative by the invisible hand of the market is insane. People in my field making music for entertainment assets can earn as easy as $500K a year, but the vast majority of musicians are starving artists. Would majoring in music be smart or no? It's impossible to say. Dude, these guys only care about black people when they can use like people of color as a talking point against like other working class poor people. It is just the classic reactionary divide and conquer. Is the classic reactionary divide and conquer method. It's so classic. What a fucking classic. Only people who are mad are people who already paid their student loan. Yeah, and I paid mine. I paid my brother's. I still think this should happen. That is so fucking psychotic. You want to know why? Because I'm not a selfish fucking prick. So the real thing you should have said is the only people who are mad are selfish fucking pricks. There is no other instance on the planet where you go, well, I had cancer and I survived, but now that there's a fucking cancer vaccine readily available, I don't think people should have it because they shouldn't be able to fucking, they literally should be able to suffer just like I did. That's an insane fucking take. But except when it comes to student loans, people say it all the time. It's so stupid.
rich black doctor and rich.
You're just moralizing your selfish perspective. If that's the case, you're selfish and you're angry and you're resentful because you had to pay these fucking psychotic loans that you didn't need to pay for, that you just shouldn't have had to pay for. So now you're just mad and you're trying to look for a way to moralize your resentment. Okay, instead of examining why this even happened to you in the first place, you are trying to moralize it. It's no different than a fucking Twitter leftist anarchist being like, I hate Hasan. I can't believe he fucking bought a Gucci shirt. This is the worst thing that's ever happened on the history of the fucking planet to leftist movements. No, you're just angry and resentful, and you're looking for a way to fucking moralize it. It's so stupid. No, it's just jealousy. And you're trying to put a leftist aesthetic to it.
White doctor, but it actually widens the racial wealth gap overall because disproportionately people that hold student debt that went to college are white, and disproportionately people, the 87% of Americans that didn't go to college are disproportionately people of color. So this would actually widen the racial wealth gap overall. A more targeted approach would focus on fixing income-driven repayments, and more importantly, on getting college affordability in the first place. That means pushing colleges to accept more AP credit.
Yeah, this is what their targeted attitude is. Yesterday, I announced that as president, I'll establish a student loan debt forgiveness program for Pell Grant recipients who start a business that operates for 3 years in disadvantaged communities. I just want to die, dude. That's how they're gonna solve it, dude. Motherfucker said AP credits, dude. I just fucking, oh my God.
Credits and transfers from community colleges, more no-frills degrees, cutting out some of their administrative waste. That's what we really need to do is make college affordable, not send a $10,000 gift to people that already have, in many cases, advanced degrees.
New detail.
Oh my God, oh my God.
They're dead.
Nina Turner, Sykes Charlie says, go into a room in rural Wisconsin and talk to farmers about student debt. There's a problem with this argument. First of all, wait, farmers in rural Wisconsin, listen, no disrespect to the producers, okay? Agricultural producers, but goddamn, I can't think of a group of people that suck on the government titty harder than fucking farmers, dog. You could not have used a worst example. What have farmers ever made without the government dollar? Are you out of your fucking mind, dude? The fuck do you mean? Oh, go ask the fucking farmers. Suck my cock. We don't need to ask the farmers. That's the funniest fucking take, dude. When Sykes Charlie went to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and graduated in 1975, the tuition was $506 per year. Adjusted for inflation, that is just $2,786. That same college now charges $9,610. That's 3.5. times the rate of inflation. That's why student debt is a crisis. Good take by Mike from PA. My family is rural farmers in Wisconsin and got 100K in PPP loans forgiven. It's not. We're not even talking about that.
People don't have.
Like farmers straight up. Small farmers are being pushed out by big corporate-owned farms across the nation. Wisconsin's no different. Small farmers are having trouble making ends meet. Say this hypothetical farmer has kids. How do they get to middle class? The fact is this debt doesn't just get paid by the taxpayer. It's already paid for. 1 in 5 Americans holds this debt, meaning this farmer most likely has a spouse, family member, or a friend who holds this debt. So that's also really stupid. But also, lastly, but not leastly, okay, farmers are getting a fuck ton of subsidies from the fucking government. Fuck! What? Not a farmer, but I am from rural Wisconsin. There are political signs everywhere. Instead of cow tipping, people from my school will swap political signs on people's yards. Because we need their food, Hasan. Wait, what? Bitch, I don't have an issue with subsidies. I have an issue with what this fucking dumbass is saying. We also need people to be educated, you fucking dingus. What the fuck kind of take is this? We no live without food. We need corn. We no need education. We live fine without education. Everyone become farmer. Does not matter if you do not live on productive soil. You make productive soil with poop. I mean, that's it. That's what you did. You just did that. That like I'm making a funny joke about like how fucking pathetic and stupid your take was, but like that is what you said. You said, "Me no live without food. Corn good, book bad. No read book." Ooh. American farmers make almost nothing for human consumption. Wait, what? Yes, they do. What are you talking about? They fucking make shit that like the animals eat. Who consumes the animals? What? America is a huge... Farmers get incentives to destroy produce to create artificial scarcity? No. I mean, it's more complicated than that. I guess technically. Most of U.S. corn goes to ethanol is what he means, I think. Guys, America has like, America has a lot of agricultural production. Anyway, so that's not... That's not true. Have you talked about Biden debt cancellation? Brother, like, just what do you think we're talking about, man? Like, literally, while we're in the... oh, my God. Don't forget that student loans, just like mortgage loans, are securitized and traded as debt securities, slabs, student loan asset-backed securities. So the push from Wall Street Journal to keep a major source of investment assets available is just par for the course by those ghouls. Your entire local vegetable section actually comes from a hole that goes to China? What level of debt should be canceled? 100? Yes. And also colleges should be free. Also, in the state of Florida, Charlie Crist, former Republican governor, has defeated Nikki Fried in the Florida gubernatorial Democratic primaries and will face Ron DeSantis in the fall. So old is saying there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's cap. Okay. Canceling student loan debt is a fucking instant W for Joe Brandon, which is why I assume they're not doing it. Because Democrats are allergic to doing good things. Because if they do good things, well, that opens them up to getting owned by the Republicans, because Republicans can try and very quickly turn a good thing that the Democratic Party did into somehow a bad thing. Okay? So that's part of the reason why we are experiencing this, I think. Also, let's not forget, there are plenty of donors within the Democratic Party, within the Democratic Party infrastructure, that donate a fuck ton of money to the Democratic Party. That also, of course, very obviously would not benefit from student loan debt relief. So there's that little thing too. And of course, Democratic Party cares more about the donors. Will Biden not get the same flack for 10K or 50K or even 100%? No, he will get flack regardless. So just do it all. $10K, especially $10K that is like means tested, is the worst possible way to go about it. If you're going to do means testing, do 100%. Okay? Because ultimately, it makes it easier to pick holes in. Yeah, I mean, here, we talked about this last when it first came out, but Nancy Pelosi's surprise flip on student debt cancellation came after urging from billionaire power couple. Stephen and Mary Swig had circulated a memo against cancellation via an executive order. Care to comprehend what Stephen and Mary Swig do, or do I not even need to do that at this point, and you already know? They're major funders of the progressive nonprofits, but have also significantly bankrolled Pelosi and her House Democratic caucus. The couple has in the past directly lobbied Pelosi, fintech. Wasn't disseminated to the general public. No, the president cannot cancel it. Where the fuck was it? What is it? Blah, 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 blah. They do like some shit. I think they do like debt swaps or something. President's response. Political operatives familiar with the Swigs describe often well-meaning couple have donated worthy causes. A source pointed to the Swigs' own account published in Salon in 2018 on how they ever learned the student debt existed recently after their daughter told them about the plight of an artist friend saddled with crushing debt. It began with a story. It wasn't an unusual one, but it was new to us when we first heard it from our daughter 4 years ago. By the way, they only found out about how shitty student loan debt was in 2018 when not their daughter, but a friend of their daughter described it. But I guess they didn't really find out about it that hard because they're still like, fuck is it? What do they do? I want to. Don't they have like a. Fuck, I'm burning right now. I'm literally on fire. that time of the fucking day again, dude. When it's like insanely hot in this room. It just like becomes 1,000,000 degrees in this room and I start fucking burning up. So I had to crank down the fucking temperature to 67. This is Real Estate Dynasty. No, but they have assets in I think like anyway. Need to chill out. I don't use my AC from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. when I'm in Arizona. They charge us more. I mean, I fucking don't care about that. You're about to have 500 suggestions on how to keep your home cool. Yeah, I know. Immediately. You know who pops off when I say that? HVAC specialists in the chat. HVAC specialists are like, you deserve it. After all your fucking slander, dude. After all your slander on the real troops, the real heroes. Oh, by the way, a former police officer has pleaded guilty in federal court to 1 count of conspiracy related to the killing of Breonna Taylor, admitting that she helped falsify a search warrant and filed a false report after Taylor's death as a part of a cover-up attempt. Former Louisville Metro Police Department officer Kelly Goodlett is the name. She has pleaded guilty to the charge of conspiracy for helping to falsify the search warrant in the deadly no-knock raid that killed Breonna Taylor. There you go. So there's that wonderful thing.